It's David McCoy, Commonwealth Commercial Real Estate, Ochimo Properties, Real Estate Matters. Thought I would do today a quick and dirty update on the retail market. So some of my retail clients, I had a client in particular a few weeks ago, and so I went back and I did just sort of a review of things that have happened this year. And so I thought I would share that information with you all. So in this, here we are right now, I don't know when you're watching this, but it is mid-October of 2020. So we are still in the midst of the COVID pandemic. And things are, we still have things sort of shut down, but things are not completely shut down. But we just wanted to go through and just kind of look at where we were. So since this has started, since the COVID crisis has started, and this is information that came from Yelp. Yelp went through people in Jefferson County, Kentucky, and they reported that since the COVID crisis started back the first part of March of 2020, in Jefferson County, 455 businesses had closed. Now, we're going to qualify that a little bit. They said that 300 of those had reported closing permanently. So it's possible that 150, some of those may still come back, but I doubt all of them will come back. But so we've had that many businesses close here in Jefferson County. Now a lot of those are restaurants. I think that the number of restaurants, I know it's over 100. I want to say it's around 120, but I don't have that figure right in front of me, so I'm not exactly sure. And restaurants have been hit quite hard. As we are today, the last time I checked on the governor's restrictions, I believe that the restaurants are still restricted to 25% of their capacity. So that's just not enough for the restaurants to be able to make money. So the ones that are doing that largely are just trying to hold on. They're just trying to stay afloat, hoping that they'll make it through until they can resume full capacity. I guess the exception to that might be drive-through restaurants and delivery. Those have been doing quite well. I believe McDonald's in particular has had a tremendous increase in business. And so those kinds of restaurants are doing very well, but the restaurant industry in general, not so much. Also, meeting places, venues, places where people go for entertainment venues, that would be theaters, movie theaters, and of course the churches. The churches aren't businesses, but all of those are really they also, there's limits on the number of people that can be together, and so accordingly a lot of these places are shut down, and so they're getting hit hard as well. So just to kind of put some numbers to that, I went back and I looked at the number of leases the first quarter, the number of leases the second quarter, and the number of leases the third quarter, and I limited it to Jefferson County, Kentucky. So this will vary. I mean, different places will be different, but it's a snapshot. It's a snapshot in our area. And so what we found is that the number of leases in the second quarter dropped by about a third. And it's really more so than that, because when you looked at the total number of square feet leased, that dropped as well. Now, in the second quarter, it just so happened there was one very large lease in Jefferson County. It was a former Kmart, so it was not quite 120,000 square feet. And so that lease went through. It was a single lease to actually 3 retailers are going to be locating in that spot. But that 120,000 square foot lease really skewed the results of that. So when we look at that lease and if we pull that single lease out of the second quarter statistics, we find that the total amount of space leased by number of square feet plummeted 67%. So 2/3 reduction in the amount of space leased. So the things that we're going through with that single exception were all very small kind of situations. Then the good news is in the third quarter, the number of leases actually recovered. It came back and it was even a little bit higher than the number of leases in the first quarter. However, the size of the leases is still down, and so the amount of space leased relative to the first quarter was 20 to 25% less on the total square feet than in the first quarter. So we're still kind of suffering, and I think that we won't see that return for a while. I know, and so just some anecdotal evidence. The people that I've been talking to, I actually have had a number of people that we've talked to, and we have, there are, restaurant owners who would like to kind of do some things, but they just cannot do it until the restrictions are lifted. We had a department store group that has opened a store here in Jefferson County, and they also they said they're staying away specifically from Kentucky right now because of the governor's restrictions right now. And so when we go back through, actually for this whole year, there have only been 4 retail leases reported of any size. Now, I'm going to qualify this a little bit. The information I'm getting is from our local commercial information exchange, KCREA. So it's not 100% of all the leases and 100% of the data, but it is a good indicator. It gives us a good indicator of what has happened. But on KCREA, there were only 4 leases of any size. So one of them was a department store, Burke's. They were entering our market for the first time. They signed their lease in January before everything happened. And so that's another thing that has happened. They talked to the agent who negotiated that deal, and he told me they either just now opened or they're just about to open. They signed this lease in January, and here it is, it's October. So there's been a 9-month delay in terms of them opening up. Then we had another lease, and it was, this was in the third quarter. In the third quarter, the largest lease signed was just under 15,000 square feet. And that lease was a church. The agent who did that deal told me that they just were trying to get something off of the space. This church had sold their building and were looking for a new spot. So they're only using it for weekends pretty much only, and it's only a 1-year lease. They said basically they were just trying to cover basic cost of the space, and so that was the only thing they did. The lease, the giant lease in the second quarter, which is the biggest lease of this whole year, which again it was 120,000 square feet, actually was putting in 3 retailers. It was a very large auto zone. That's kind of new to our market. It was like a 45,000 square foot auto zone, and it was a Planet Fitness and Big Lots. Those 3 together were sharing that. And there's one more lease, which was the other lease was a 25,000 square foot spot that was a bingo hall. It was a former bingo hall space. The people buying it, or I'm sorry, leasing it, were also going to use it for a bingo hall. That lease was also signed in January, and they're not open yet. They do not expect to open until the end of this year. So even though we've had some leasing activity, we're still down from where we were at the beginning of the year. And we're also hitting the last quarter. In the last quarter, the number of retail transactions drops. A lot of that is that so many retail establishments really depend upon Christmas sales for their revenue for the year. And so for a lot of them, it's not really worth their while if they can't get in and get all of their improvements done and get open in time for the Christmas season. So many times they will just wait until we get past the Christmas season rather than spend money on something that's not going to pay off for them. So I don't expect a big increase in this quarter. We may have some, but I don't expect that right now either. But again, kind of going back to the leases that were signed, a lot of these people are having to do deferred rent. A lot of them, these big leases that we had. So again, the bingo hall, that lease was signed almost 10 months ago, and they're not open and don't plan to open for another couple of years. Couple of months. They've been renovating it, but clearly, and I guess they can't really open because of the restrictions on the number of people that are allowed to come at this point. And we had the church, which we mentioned, and we had the department store, which it has been 9 months since it went in, and I drove by the really large lease that was signed the second quarter, and they are renovating it. They're doing that, but they're not open either. So that's it, sort of in a nutshell. I would say that we have come back a little bit. I wouldn't say that we can expect a full retail a rebound until we get to the point that the restrictions have gone away. And I would say, although I hate to say it, one thing I do not have a good handle on, I just didn't have a good source for this, is how much space we have that got added back because of people that closed their doors. So I don't have like a net number in terms of the total square footage. But there was a bounce up in the third quarter. That's encouraging. We're talking now about a vaccine coming out, which if it does come out, obviously it will take a while before that takes effect, but we will, I think we're still in for a little bit of a bumpy ride here for a while. I think we're going to have some more businesses go out of business, unfortunately, and it will probably be a little while before that improves. So that's kind of it, to give you just sort of a snapshot and a very quick idea of how things are going. I will be doing another one of these for the office market probably this next week. So anyway, that's kind of wrapping it up. I think this has gone a little bit longer than I really had planned for it to. But if you have questions or something along those lines, I'd like to know. So if you like this and you want to see these, please click the subscribe or the bell button. And if you know someone who might benefit from this, please share it. This is David McCoy, and I am helping you succeed in real estate. So hope you're doing well, and I look forward to next time. Take care. Bye.